You're now entering the LuxCore Studios. And you've secured a seat for the Protecting Your Radius podcast. Here, we build connections from your contracting profession to some of the top bleeding edge products and services. Don't get deterred. Let's not delay. Here is your host, Nathan Downs.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Protecting Your Radius podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Downs, and today, for round number 2, we have Benji from Cleverfox.Online. Benji, welcome again, bud.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, man. So Benji and Cleverfox.Online power pretty much everything you see that we're doing online. They take care of our website. There was a program that Benji uses that we didn't talk about last time, but we'll get into. Actually, you created it, use it. I use it. He created it. BizRaider, freaking awesome. We're going to talk about that down the road. That may even be another episode, bud. But that being said, I was talking to Benji on the phone and found out that there's still something I thought everyone that would be listening to a podcast, thinking about a podcast, looking at anything online had already figured out. And that's the Google My Business listing. So, Benji, this is your thing, but I am going to chime in because, as he knows, I have already been fired up about the fact of I do not understand how some of you guys, especially companies that have been around for a long period of time, do not have your Google My Business listing together. And Benji's going to talk first about why it's important and then the semantics of it. And I'll chime in and I'll try to be as nice as I can, but I'm pretty sure if you don't have your Google My Business listing together, you're going to think I'm a jerk after the end of this. But Benji, go ahead.
So Google Business Listing, your Google Business Listing or your Google Business Profile, as they've renamed it, your GBP, that's really important. It should be the number one thing that you do aside from filing your LLC or your, registering your business. It's the same type of thing. You need to register your business with Google. People, if you don't know, you've been under a rock for too long. People pick up their phone, their mini computer that they keep in their pocket, and when they're looking for a service, they type in plumber near me or fence company near me. And the first thing that they do is they Google it.
Yep.
You even call it search the internet anymore. We call it Google. So when they do that, it's going to, as you know, I'm sure everybody listening that's done it, the first thing that shows up is the map and the 3 listings for the map, which we call the map pack. So that 3 pack is where you ultimately want your business to be. You have 0 chance of being there if you don't have a Google Business Listing. So you have to get your Google Business Listing set up, which means verifying your business and going through a few hoops with Google. But it's really not that complicated. And, even without computer knowledge, you can, a couple of clicks get you there. So, even if you don't optimize it all at the beginning, at least getting it registered is super important. It's more important than your website. It's more important than your Facebook page. It's the single most important thing you could do for your business.
Yep. And longevity helps that too, right, Benji?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm sitting over here going, what are you people doing that you don't have your maps set up for Google already? It was the first thing, man, that I did, knowing that, we needed Radius to have an online presence, and that was going to be the foundation of what we were setting up. And to not have it it's just mind-boggling to me, man. So it's on the maps. Now everything, even on the app side, they killed the so I called it Google My Business Listing, but that's gone, right?
Yes.
So now it's all under Google Maps. So even like the other day, or was it even today, I think I was messaging some of our customers or some prospects and whatnot, but we do it all through the Google Maps app now. You do all your messaging through there, all of your contacts. You can call people from it and stuff. And I've been trying to show my family members and different people around me, like, they're like, hey, when does, do you know what time that store closes? Go open your Google Maps and look it up. It's on there. How do I need to call so-and-so. Yeah, open your Google Maps. I'm like, geez. Like, I use the Google Maps so many times a day. I mean, it is ridiculous, Benji, how many times I'm on that stupid thing. But what they've created is the ultimate business connection ecosystem that I've ever seen. Because all the information you need just to get to a business is right there. So if you're not on it, they can't get you, right?
That's right. Yeah. Now, there are some up-and-comings, Nathan, that I need to mention too, because Apple has been having their platform as well, but they just released a major upgrade, and you and I haven't even talked about it, but they released a major upgrade to their business listing platform, and now they offer what really it rivals Google in the sense that it's got all the same functionality. So they're through there. There's posts that you can do through there, all sorts of things. So I don't want to fail to mention that there are other platforms too that are important to set up your listing. But yeah, certainly Google right now holds the number one spot.
So the Apple thing, let's get into that real quick. Where do you do that? Because I've got like spam stuff coming every day on, set up your Apple Maps. And I noticed that for whatever reason, I cannot get us on Apple Maps. And we hadn't talked about this yet, but
yeah, you and I hadn't talked about it. I can definitely handle it for you, obviously. Since we do everything for you guys.
Literally.
But it's really simple, and I don't know the URL off the top of my head, but and that's another bad part about all of this, that there really isn't a great way to do it. When you go to Google, it used to be business.google.com. I think you could still get to it from that, but now they pretty much say you go to pull up a Google and you type in my business, or you put in your business name in the search, and it automatically knows to go to your business listing.
Right.
Very similar for Apple. You can actually Google how to get to the Google business. The Apple business platform, because I'm not sure about the URL. And it's very underused right now. It's just as well as the Bing. Bing's got their own thing as well. So, but yeah,
even the Bing, what have you been watching the analytics on usage and stuff for these things? Because it looked like Bing was now like 10% or 14%. I thought I heard something like that where I'm like, who of all of y'all are using Microsoft Edge and Bing to search for stuff? There are people doing it. I didn't know that.
Well, there's still, Google's got a lion's share of users, but they also they don't have as many users to their PC platform. So when you buy a computer, it comes loaded with Microsoft and typically set as Edge as your browser by default. Of course, users like you and I would immediately go ahead and put Chrome on there, install Chrome or Firefox.
Yeah. I'm a Firefox guy, right?
I use about 5 or 6. I was talking with somebody the other day. I use Firefox. You may not know, but there's also one called WaterFox. I thought that was funny since I'm Cleverfox. So yeah, WaterFox, Firefox. I don't know. And then there's Opera and Edge, and so I use all those browsers, different things. So
nerding out here, kids.
For sure. Yeah, you got to set your business listing up, but there's a few more things, and some of the things I think that hold people back. And I believe, that Google's going to do something to change this, but right now it is a little bit clunky when you go to set up your Google business listing. If you're a service-based business and you have to set up a proximity map, so basically you tell them your service area, and then right now they got this thing where they're really you set up a new listing, they're 9 times out of 10 are going to tell you to do a video verification. which sounds really like, oh, geez, I got to take a video. Who do I send this to? How do I get it started? So it used to be you get a postcard, and still sometimes they do require that. But when you set up your listing, they're going to require you to verify the business. Now, I will say with Apple Maps, the verification is basically getting a text message and you put in the code that they give you. It's super simple, super easy. They simplify it, made it really easy. I'm not a big Apple fan. If you know me, you know that I'm not a huge Apple fan, but I will say that their verification process smokes Google's big time.
Most things. Sorry, Pixel Pro 6a or whatever piece of crap. Get yourself an iPhone 14 Max Pro. All right, their phones. Yeah, no one wants your Galaxy S26 Plus Alpha, Benji. No one cares.
My phone can outdo your phone.
I don't care. My fence can outdo your fence.
That's for sure.
So again, like I said, off the rails a little bit here. So we were talking about the Google business listing stuff, Benji, because I was shocked that there was anybody that would even be listening to this that has a business or works for a business that doesn't have that squared away. But it's kind of like the infrastructure to a lot of different things you can do. And that was one of the things that I wanted to get your opinion on, because you run all of our SEO at Radius, but also all of our Google ads. And I know you've got people that you've hired in on your team that are handling these things and everything. So let's talk about the ad, just advertising in general online, and then break down into like Google ads, because I know you're really getting into the weeds in a lot of different areas with so many clients now. And it's exciting to me because I see a lot of things like, hey, I saw this work in this market, where I think that's a big synergy thing as a company to be able to offer your clients, because you're, hey, in this area, this is working. So you can do some, beta testing and whatnot and actually see if it is something that functions outside in different markets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that crosses over verticals as well. So, from not just fence industry, working with other industries, we're starting to work with the pest control industry a bit as well. And so there's things that we can learn from each vertical. But yeah, going back to Google ads, setting up your Google ads account, there's all kinds of things, and we wouldn't have time to go through every single type of Google ad that there are, but there's different types of Google ads. And I will say you need to carefully, consider each one before you dive in and start spending mega bucks on a Google ad. Google doesn't care if they take all your money. So, that, they're not going to tell you, that you need to dial things in, but that's one of the things that you have to be careful about, and matter of fact, sometimes they give you, optimization, if you will, suggestions, or they call them recommendations. That's what they call them. They give you a recommendation to basically open up your wallet and just let money fly out and right into your Google ads. I mean, it's wild. So you have to be careful when you're setting those things up, that you're dialing them in. And you don't want to overly tinker with them either. That's what I've seen a lot of people do. They figure out a few little things or nuances about Google ads, and then all of a sudden they're a Google ads expert and they're in there tinkering with the ads every day. Well, what you don't understand is that it takes a good 14 days for the changes that you make to actually be learned by the Google algorithm that controls your Google ads. So if you're teaching it something every day, it's never learning because it doesn't have time to learn. So be careful about that. Another one to be cautious of is the display network ads. They've recently done some some great updates to the display network. And I know I've talked about this on other shows, but it's worth mentioning again that you need to be careful with display ads if you do them, that you dial them in tremendously, because your ad will be blasted on every app out there that Google has their fingers in. And then all of a sudden the parents that, no judgment, but the parents that are at dinner with their child and they have a little iPad in front of them and they're clicking on the iPad back and forth buttons, and they're clicking your ad because it showed up on their Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or whatever.
Right.
I mean, you're paying for that.
Yes.
So be careful. Go through them. If you start the display network and you go full blast, wide open, you need to look at that sucker. Look at it. We suggest optimizing ads once a month. That's when you need to make your budget changes. You need to look at the keywords. Look at the search words that Google is saying that your ad is showing for. Sometimes that's one of the things that people forget about. It shows you search words. So it'll show you like what you're performing, what your ads are performing for. So, for instance, you could take that information, you could use it to your advantage. If your ad is showing for when someone's typing in Trex fencing, for example, and if your ad's showing for Trex fencing and there's people searching for Trex fencing, but you're not converting those sales, that means that ad's not landing on the right page. So check the ad that you're running, possibly change it, modify it to Trex fencing, and make sure that when the landing page for that is plastered with information about Trex fencing and how to buy. So that's important. And I think a lot of people forget the landing pages when they start doing Google ads. They're just thinking, I'm just going to open up the floodgates and get all of these leads. It doesn't work quite that way. You have to make sure that when they click that ad, that they're going to go to somewhere that's going to convert them.
Yep. For sure. Do you think, I know we still get solicitations all the time directly from Google since we have an active campaign, right? Advertising campaign. And they're always trying to, let us help you and da-da. But, we have Cleverfox.Online handling all that for us. Talk about that, because I think when I've looked at doing it myself, the time quotient that it was going to take to do it right. I think I was looking at spending 4 to 6 hours if you really want, like a month, if you really want to go into the numbers and the analytics and understand all the data, because there's so much data that Google ships out to you, right, with it. So that is a service that you guys are offering, Benji. Like, what does that look like for your clients? Because I know what it looks like for us, but I'd let you speak about it.
So all of our packages, we kind of pride ourselves on not just performing in the web space. So you don't come to us and buy a website and then we're done the website and we're done. We like to become a virtual marketing department so we can handle Google ads, we can handle branding, logo development, when you need a brochure done or whatever. You have one place to come to get that stuff done. So yeah, we certainly do include a retainer. Depending on which package you go with us, we have a retainer, and that retainer is, based on how many hours that we work with you. And we have a task board. You're well aware of our task board system. Mm-hmm. And so that gives us a way of communicating this thing. And we can also do this to track your Google ads. So like we can talk about, how you performed, once a month. We talk about how you performed, what we think we should change. And those sorts of things. Now, I will say that Google advisors that they have are not a scam. I've had a lot of people ask me, is this a scam? It's not a scam. Google does want you to get the best. Ideally, they want you to get a good performance because they know that you're going to continue to use the product if you do. So they really want you to get the best performance. And it just depends on the advisor, right? So sometimes you get someone, there's a language barrier. It's a little difficult to understand them. Typically, they do want to schedule a phone call with you to go over it.
Yeah.
Not all of that information is lost. So if you decide that you're going to take that route, just be very careful and cautious and listen to what they're saying, but also know that they're only controlling one side of this whole thing. So they're more than likely not going to tell you or make suggestions about things you should change on your landing page or other things that might affect conversions. So they're going to probably give you some examples of things you could do on your Google ads or recommendations. And just be careful about opening your wallet, like I said, and letting the money just fly out, because I don't think they really intend to do that. I just think sometimes they don't understand. So you have to be straight with them with their budget you have. They look, this is the budget I'm sticking with. They say, well, we need to adjust your budget. Well, tell me what that looks like. What can I expect from that?
For over 30 years, Southwest Automated Security has been the premier provider of gate operators, access controls, CCTV, and so much more. Visit southwestautomated.com today, taking dealers to the next level.
Right. My opinion on it, Benji, is I think anyone that has like a marketing manager or a group or a company that's helping them with all their marketing, especially your online presence and your advertising and all, SEO and all that stuff. If they don't understand what I do and have an interest in what I do, I am not hiring those people. And that's why every time the Google people reach out and they're just hounding, I really want to help you. Oh, we see you're moving. I mean, they now are to the point like, whoa, you're spending so much money here. I'm like, what? No, just go away. Like, if it wasn't working, I wouldn't put money in it. It's like, what are we doing?
Right.
But I think that's one of the things that gets me, because I want that peer-to-peer relationship. Like, I want someone that's looking into it, that you can actually talk to a human being, but is looking at it from the perspective of not how much money am I sinking into my advertising and maximizing it to grow my advertising. But I like it the way you do it, where we're talking about, like, are we getting tangible results? Like, are we getting leads that lead to appointments, that lead to estimates, that lead to a contract that actually we make money on? And we have since day one, since the last, 13 months, I guess, that we've worked together. That's what I've seen is we have real world results. And I can look back and say, all of this plays into that, because even then there's people out there that will Google you. If they found you on Facebook, they're going to go online and search to see more about it. And that's where just having all of this stuff, just having ads and all those things, I mean, it just makes you look like, oh, wow, these guys are everywhere. Well, sure we are, but, and then going into the next step of all that, which is your reviews and gathering up, experiences from clients and stuff. So unless you want to talk more about Google Ads, but you have a really cool program that we've been using, and we have seen a steady growth in our reviews, which is good, because I need about like 10 times as many as I have right now. But we've been growing and we've integrated it into our automations after we're done with the project, or we're emailing it to them, then we text it to them, and then we call them, and we do all these different things. But BizRaider is the program that you set up. It's very similar to like a Bird's Eye and some of those other things, right? Bird Eye. So tell everyone, and then where to find it, about the BizRaider program, Benji.
So created BizRaider out of a need that we saw. Dan Blanc was kind of a spearhead on this issue. And this is one of the things I love. I know I've talked to you before about solving problems. this is one of the things I love about my job. I love solving problems. I love coming up with creative ideas or creative ways to solve problems. BizRaider is a great example of that. Dan was like, man, look, this is what I'm paying for Bird Eye. I just don't think that I'm getting what I need out of it. And I think he even tried a couple other platforms, just really wasn't getting everything that he needed. And if you've never dealt with Google reviews, the odds are stacked against you. The math does not work. I have people all the time that ask me, well, I have a 1-star review, so I got a 5-star review, so I should offset that, right? No. It changes. The algorithm and the way they formulate it changes. But typically, what I try to tell people is, if you have one star review, you're going to need at least 10 5-star perfect reviews in order to offset it, change it, not counterbalance it, but just offset it a little. So it's stacked against you as a business owner. So one of the things that we did was we thought, well, wouldn't it be neat if we were able to address customer issues before they became reviews? Because we all know you can get a 1-star review, reach out to, Karen about it and talk to Karen and settle everything with Karen. She ends up being just happy as can be, and then never goes back to change that 1-star review, and you're scarred for life.
Yep.
So it happens over and over and over again. So another thing is that I run across is I talk to clients and I say, why are you not asking for reviews? And they're like, well, I'm kind of afraid. We want to make sure we give them or I hear most often, we do send a link to the ones that we know will give us a 5-star review. Well, you don't know. Someone else, some of these, how many of them did you miss because you didn't give that review? So with all that being said, we formulated a plan to come up with a review buffer that basically allows you to send a link to every single customer you have, or you can automate this and send it, through, if you're using CRM or whatever. But you send this link out and it gives them the option to select stars, a star rating. So, and then you tell us, when we set up your BizRaider, you tell us as the business owner, what do you want to happen when someone chooses a star rating?
Exactly.
So if they choose star rating, 2-star rating, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, you tell us what you want them to do. So if they choose 5 stars and you say, I want the 5-star reviews to go to my Google business listing to finish their review. So basically it looks like they're starting their review at 5 stars. The very next thing, as soon as they click 5 stars, takes them right to your Google business listing. They can seamlessly finish their review and leave you a 5-star review.
Love it.
If you told Benji, we want our 4-star reviews to go to an issue resolution form because we want to address that and find out why we didn't get 5 stars. We can do that. So then 4 stars, they select 4 stars. They immediately go to an issue resolution form that then gets emailed to you so that you could reach out to the customer and resolve the issue, and then hopefully turn that whole thing around and get them to, at that point, you could tell them, I know you originally left a 4-star review. Now that we've solved your problem, would you mind leaving us a 5-star review? Send them a link to get that 5-star review.
Yeah. That was one of the things I loved about your program, Benji, is that you can control, like we get to decide how we react with that. And, we've got it turned on where 4 and 5-star push through, and then 3 and less, come back in. And it was so funny. We had a lady 3 times now try to leave a review, but she's leaving it in the BizRaider. And she's like, 1 star, should have chose another company, the worst decision of my life. And I'm like, I go by her house. It's like a 300-foot cap and trim cedar job on steel posts. And I've gone over there way too many times going, there's nothing wrong with this fence. But this lady is certified crazy. But she literally says she is writing this like she's putting it on Google. And I'm sitting there thinking, Thank God I have BizRadar, because holy cow, this would be brutal. And then if you go on our Google reviews, you'll see we have all 5 stars, which I really don't like that. To me, it makes it feel like unrealistic expectation could be established because we're 5-star. We're the only fence company that's 5-star rated. I'm like, geez, that has as many reviews as we do. You start reading our reviews, it's very clear like where we're very, very good at. Okay. But again, I'm like, I just want 1 4-star. I've mentioned this before. I just want 1 4-star review just to put it at 4.9. Don't leave a 4-star. If any of you suckers come in there and leave us a 4-star review. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, I want them all to be real. I definitely want, real reviews from real people, and we're getting that. One thing that you mentioned on the review thing, on the Google reviews specifically, because those are the ones that really matter. Like, right? Like all the places you could get reviews, the spot that really seems to be where you get the most bang for your buck with someone investing time or leaving a review is on Google. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I had heard, and Sam Natello's talked about this, and I've heard you talk about this, Benji. You guys have both been on the kick of like when we respond to a, especially for our industry, but when we respond to these people, what should we be putting in there? Because I've changed how I respond, but I don't know if you've been looking at mine, but you can go back and look. But what do you suggest everyone, like what do we need to be thinking when we're responding to a Google review?
Yeah. So Sam has some great examples, and he's put those out there. And I love his suggestions. I think he's got some really smart ideas for responding to things. Some of the things that I coach people to do when you're doing a response, so there's 2 different ways. If it's a positive review, if it's a negative review, you're going to respond differently, of course. So for positive reviews, definitely want to make sure that you mention any keywords in your response. So you need to make sure that you're mentioning fence type, that you're mentioning the city, and of course you don't want to make it natural. So it needs to be very organic and natural the way you speak. It shouldn't be keyword stuffed or anything like that. But that's important. And Google does take that into consideration. They take the review when they're scanning the reviews. They're scanning the reviews for quality. They're scanning the reviews for content. They're scanning the reviews for keywords, and they don't just scan the customer's review. They scan your response. So they're looking for quality information.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I highly recommend is making sure that you get details about the project in there. Always try to be personable and mention the person by name. It's good when you can say, "Hey, Miss Jones, we really enjoyed working on your 6-foot cedar privacy fence. We love driving by. We're in Norman, Oklahoma, driving by that area. Whatever." So there's things that you can mention, and you can do it in a very organic way and a professional way that you want to include in there. Now, when you're responding to a negative review, the same thing applies. I still recommend that you put in the information, but you want to keep everything very factual and not argumentative. You want to make sure it's factual. If the review is a negative review and it's a fake review, you should still respond to it. I know Sam and I agree on that one thing as well, that you need to respond to it. And then on top of that, after you respond to it, then you can, if it's a fake review, you can report it.
Mm-hmm.
The real customer, you didn't do a good job, or if there's a legitimate complaint, I wouldn't suggest reporting that review just because you didn't like it or you want to keep it off of your Google business listing. But there are some things that some guys don't know about the Google reviews. If you've ever noticed, there's a thumbs up on the review section. So
Yep.
If you go through and you have a buddy or you have some team members that can do this too, go through and thumb up all of the 5-star reviews. It sounds like a super small thing to do. But if you're reading their review and you give it a thumbs up, it's a vote that review was helpful.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah, that's great, man.
One thing you can do to bury some reviews, maybe you already knew this, Nathan, but if you want to bury a 1-star review, I'll tell you a little secret. If you have some 5-star reviews, but they were maybe like a year or two ago, they're further down when it comes to the way that Google's showing those reviews, but you still have contact with those customers, offer to reach out to those customers that gave you a 5-star review, but it's been a couple of years or a year, and have them make a change, edit their review in some way or form or fashion. What that does is it resets that review, and it actually can help to bump that review up above a 1-star review.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool, though. Makes sense. So does it matter if I reply to him? I go in and change my reply.
The replies are not going to bump the review.
Yeah.
But them editing the review itself will help.
Reaggregate it, maybe. Yeah. Churn it up, till it up. So what else, buddy? You got anything else? We're going to wrap this thing up, put a bow on it, take it to the house.
That's about it. I do want to mention that we're not finished developing on BizRaider, man. We've got a great product that's working for a lot of people out there. But we have a secret component that we have not released and told anyone about yet that we're going to be hitting the streets with BizRaider this year. We're actually it's going to become more of a directory as well. So there's going to be some directory listings, so profile setup, and we actually are working in a development with Trust Index. So we're going to be working alongside with Trust Index to create a profile for business listings through the BizRaider platform. And so the BizRaider platform, when you go to bizraider.com right now, you're going to just see a splash page there. It's like a reach out and touch us if you want to get started. But what's going to happen is they're going to be featured businesses on that homepage, and then each one of those businesses is going to have a profile link. So it's going to become a directory, and that's going to also help with backlinks, legitimate backlinks to your business.
SEO, baby.
Yeah. So it's all going to come into play. It's going to be a great platform to do that on. And this is the first time I mentioned that, on anyone's show.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little nugget.
Yeah. That's sweet, man. I'm excited. It's always fun. The Google stuff's always fun to talk to you about because there's so many different variations, different things we see every day, every week. It seems like there's always a change. And that was one of the reasons, again, that I decided I can't, if I'm going to be building my contracting company and putting all this effort out there, I do not have the time, specifically the time or the energy or desire after all this other stuff to get done and be worried about, have I looked at my Google ads in 3 months? Have I added anything to my website ever? Where's my whatever they're called now, the Google business listing or Google My Business is what I call it. All those things, right? But having a partner in that space, having what you guys do with your Monday boards and all the tasks and stuff. I mean, it makes it super easy as a client to sit there and go back and forth, or as we've done many times, I'll get a hair and in the middle of the night, open my app and be like, oh, I got an idea. And then I'm like, I'll then mention something to Dan Blanc and he's like, oh, I just sent the same idea to Benji. I'm like, I go, this poor Benji guy's getting blasted all night long on this app because we all came up with an idea at the same time. He's like, stop talking to each other.
I love it, man.
But no, we appreciate you. We appreciate your partnership as always. Again, people need to reach out to you, want to talk to you, Benji. Where can they find you? Where can they connect with Clever Fox?
Cleverfox.Online is our website. It's pretty easy to find. And, when you get there, there's actually a little place for fence marketing at the top. If you're a fence guy out there needing a marketing partner, happy to have you. If you're any kind of service related business, you probably fall within that same, fence category, as far as like the pricing structure goes. So we have all of our prices listed there. We have packages from beginner packages, one-time help packages, all the way up to let's rock and roll and blaze a trail.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited. Catch those guys out. Look at all the stuff. If you want to see some real tangible examples, you can visit either of our websites, our company's website at radiusfence.com or the podcast website that we're continuing to develop and grow all the time at protectingyourradius.com. So with that, Benji, great to have you on again. We will have him back for more because there's always stuff changing with all of these things as we get into the biz radar changes and all that. We'll be bringing those out to everybody as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys again. If you have any questions or any comments on that, also send those to info@protectingyourradius.com. We can continue to compile things I can get with Benji and hit it up from there. So, hey guys, appreciate you as always. See ya.
You've been listening to the Protecting Your Radius podcast from the LuxCore Studios in Bixby, Oklahoma. Thanks for sticking around, and connect with us and all of our partners at www.protectingyourradius.com. We want to thank our premier partners, LuxCore, the newest line of premium quality composite infill to slide into your fence track fence system. Frame your style today. Also, Stain Track, the world's first patented standalone stain machine. Utilizing flood coat technology, Stain Track covers boards, pickets, posts, and any type of dimensional wood you can think of. And what better way to use your Stain Track machine than to use the easy application Wood Defender family of stains. Wood Defender goes on easy and covers in one coat with no back brushing. And of course, the true power of our show is you, the listener. Please rate and review our show on whatever platform you consume this content. Your 5-star likes and reviews help other contractors get the message that we all want to be better and do better. And in the construction world, we can never forget that before you can be great, you've got to be good. Before you can be good, you've got to be bad. But before you can even be bad, you've got to try.